I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. Three, you act like you don't know this. Put a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. Right car, bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link, it's on 40 in my right car. Bitches change, yeah, act like I ain't all this. Get in money, nigga, that my main focus. But you can breathe, you act like you don't know this. Go part of beam and my niggas always ballin'. in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. Right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'. I got link and some 40 in my right car. You just changed and act like I ain't all this. Get that money, nigga, that my main focus. But you act like you don't know this. Report a beam and my niggas always ballin'.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Liberal Tears on Tap Live. How are you doing tonight, Kimmy?
I'm doing great, Jay. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Good.
Really excited about tonight. This is our first live event. We've been doing spaces for a while now, and moving on to the live. And we got a congressional candidate from Georgia, Kandiss Taylor, and it's going to be a really exciting night. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. This is just so exciting. This is our first live for Liberal Tears on Tap.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we
we've
will
been
never
doing this for
give
a while
up,
now.
right, Jay? We will never give up.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's add her to the stage and welcome her up here. Kandiss, welcome tonight. How are you doing?
Hey, it's so good to be here. I can't wait. It's so exciting.
Well, we appreciate you coming in here tonight. You know, we were talking about this the other night. A lot of people, when President Trump got elected, they took a sigh of relief and they were like, all right, we're good or whatever. President Trump's going to take care of things. Well, I think we're coming to the realization that the fight is far from over. And so, promoting local candidates, promoting, good congressional candidates has really become, something that we all see as an important thing to do. And so that's why we wanted to hold spaces like this or lives like this and, promote candidates, let you talk to the people and let people see you and hear you for who you are. And so we appreciate you coming here tonight. Thank you, Kandiss.
Well, thank you for having me. You're right, though. People are complacent right now and kind of apathetic because President Trump's in and he's doing a lot of wonderful things. And some things we want more, like arrest, and there's some other things we won't handle. But he's doing so many good things that people are like, oh, well, and we're tired. We fought for all these years and knew we had a fake president. And it's like, now we can take a deep breath, but we can't, because if we do, we could lose in 2026 really big.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, we're seeing how tough things are for him too, getting his, bills passed, getting his, budget passed, getting, he's got, lawfare, judges coming after him, like every step of the way. And we're seeing how tough it is and how, important it would be to, have a team that is working with him, working for the American people, not for somebody else. And so, that's why we want to promote good candidates. And so we thank you for being here tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yes,
all right. So
I have met you before, I believe, in one of our spaces. So I'm honored to have you with us tonight. I mean, you're right, though. We cannot get complacent. It's like as soon as we got President Trump elected, everybody's, there's all this infighting and everything going on. It's like people have nothing better to do now, but we cannot relax and be complacent. We're in no position to do that, especially with the midterms coming up.
You're right, Kimmy, especially about the infighting. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of people saying they're Republicans and wanting to eat their young. It is the craziest thing I've ever said, especially people who are on the right side of the Republican Party that we are. And they just want to fight with each other and have, just disagree over 2% or 5%. If we agree on 80%, we're on the same team. Democrats do not have a problem understanding this. And I don't know what is wrong with the Republican Party, but the enemy, Satan, he always comes in to divide and conquer. And so I truly believe it's a tactic from hell itself trying to divide the Republican Party, because that's the only way we'll be defeated, because Democrats are coming over. Everybody's coming over. The Republican Party has grown. It's a huge tent. We're kicking out the fake Republicans and we're taking our party back to the people. And so people that are against that are terrified, and they use anybody and everybody who's willing.
Yep. And, so I first was introduced to you when you ran for governor in Georgia. And so that's when I first, started to learn about Kandiss Taylor, and I voted for you. I voted for you in the primary. And, unfortunately, you're not, you didn't make it or whatever. But tell us about yourself and tell us about your lead up to this congressional run.
Sure, I'll try to be quick. I'm from South Georgia, from District 1, 15 counties on the coastal part of the state, the southeast part, and I've lived in South Georgia all of my life. I was born in a really small town, and I have lived here, except when I was at Georgia Southern in college. I've lived in the same place, and so I love where I live. I love my district. I love the people here. I like our values. We're very conservative. And when I ran for governor, I was speaking before Marjorie Taylor Greene one time, and I said, I believe in everything you believe in. I believe in Jesus, guns, and babies. And it just came out, and it wasn't something I planned, and it kind of stuck. But that is where we are. Foundationally, the Republican Party is Jesus, guns, and babies. And so that's what I believe in. I want to protect my morality, and I want my children to live in a free America. I have 3 children, 20, 17, and 8. And my husband and I, we value our freedom, and we've talked about it for years. We watched communism pour into this country, and it's not okay for me to sit around when I know that I'm called to do something else. I'm a good communicator, I have a PhD in counseling, and I can, help with the relationship and get things passed. It's crazy for me to sit around the sidelines and just complain, and not be willing to do something about it myself. I have to ensure that my kids have a free America, that they don't live in communism. And so that's why I got involved. I got involved in 2020. Actually, I ran for U.S. Senate. I don't know if you know that. Went and qualified, and announced when I qualified, and didn't know anything leading up to it. But Dr. Ben Carson had spoken when I got my PhD in counseling and said, if we don't get involved, we're going to lose our country. Political correctness and the national debt's destroying America. And he was correct. And so I ran for that Senate race, and I watched my numbers go up and down all night. I ran against Doug Collins and Kelly Loeffler. It was crazy how our numbers went up and down. President Trump's numbers went up and down. This was 2020. I was so furious that after the election, and they didn't count the ballots. Governor Kemp talked about doing a count and didn't do it. And his daughter's boyfriend blew up in a car. And after that, nothing else was said about the signature verification. And I was so angry that I ran for governor and announced in January of that next year of 2021 that I was going to run. And I ran for a year and a half as hard as I could go. I had 60,000 volunteers, and I only got 40-something thousand votes. And the math doesn't make sense, but I got exactly 5% of Governor Kemp's total. I don't know what I actually received, because we have a lot of dragging and dropping going on in Georgia. And that's why I'm really concerned. I think in 2024, we applied so much pressure from the Republican Party on lawfare. They were really scared to cheat. We had attorneys everywhere that were watching the precincts. They were right there ready to, and they filed some injunctions and some things, and went to court within the next day, even on a Saturday and Sunday, and got things stopped, even in Chatham County, where, it was near me, and then in Gwinnett and Fulton, all these places that were trying to do some sneaky things right before Election Day. And I just think they were terrified to cheat. I think they cheated some in Georgia. President Trump won with like over 100,000 votes, probably should have won with 500,000, because Georgia's very red. But we still have some election issues. And so I was really a big proponent of have been pushing for hand-marked paper ballots counted at the precinct level. And I still want that. I still am fighting for that. But at the same time, I can't just not run, because President Trump needs help in D.C. and getting bills passed, and needs somebody who's not going to be wavering and worried about lobbyist money and if we make somebody mad or not. And I'm not concerned about those things. I'm going to go represent the people.
Yeah, tell me about the importance of that Trump, that Trump endorsement. Like that's been huge, and that's that's a lot of us, for their, whatever office you're running for, that's kind of a make or break. And so, obviously that would be a huge, thing for you if you happen to get that, and I hope you do. But that's kind of a make or break for a lot of people. And so hopefully, President Trump, hopefully somebody from his team is watching this. I think they probably will be. We are got over 1,000 people in here right now listening to this. So hopefully this gets to him, and hopefully he can see you, because I think that would be huge. And I hopefully, I just, it's really like we want what's right for our country. We want good candidates. I think most people, they work hard, they're raising their family, they're trying to do the right thing. They think they're voting for a good people. And then you send these people to Washington, D.C., and they do the exact opposite of what they said they were going to do. And so that's really frustrating for a lot of us.
Yeah, I think they only care about money. They get up there and they get a bit of money and then power. I thought it was all about money, and then I realized maybe it's more about the power than the money. But they get up there and they realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to make so-and-so mad or so-and-so mad. And you can't do that. Once you do it one time, then that's it. I mean, they have you. And so we have to get people elected who really don't care about money, and they don't care about anything but being free, and they don't care about anything but doing what's right. And that's why, President Trump's a billionaire, but he doesn't care about that. He really loves the country. He cares about the country. And so if we can elect people like that, we'll be in good shape. And we got some good candidates all across the country that are coming up. So hopefully they can get elected. I'll say about the Trump endorsement, I want that. I pray for that. I hope that he does endorse me. I know that he looks at fundraising, and I'm trying to raise money as hard as I can, but I need $250,000 in the bank by my next filing at the end of September to show that I'm viable and that I can do this. And I believe at that point, the Trump campaign will start looking more at our campaign. But I was endorsed by Mike Lindell when I ran for governor. I was endorsed by Roger Stone. I had some big endorsements, and hopefully those guys will come back. I haven't even been seeking out endorsements yet. It's a little early for that, but I hope that I get Trump's endorsement. I know the people running against me would not even say that they were MAGA. They didn't want to be asked about being MAGA, and I've had both candidates, people that asked them that they were kind of shying away from it, and I thought, are you kidding me? I mean, this is not the same Republican Party from 10 years ago. We're not the same. And if you're not Make America Great Again, if you're not America First, you're not going to win. That's just, it's not happening.
Yeah. One of the craziest things, this is not scripted here, but one of the craziest things is like people say that Kandiss Taylor's an established Republican. And I'm like, y'all don't know Kandiss Taylor. That's not Kandiss Taylor. Like, that is not the person that I know. Like, that is the craziest thing that I've heard people say. Like, you don't know Kandiss. Like, that is absolutely not Kandiss Taylor. And I want to welcome All American Girl. Thank you for being here tonight too, Kelly. She popped in here after we started. So thank you for being here, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So
real quick, I'll just speak about that. Real quick, I served the first district as on the executive committee of the Georgia Republican Party, and because I served on the Republican Party, and Republican politics and party politics are totally different than political office politics, and it gets really nasty and really dirty, and you're dealing with a bunch of volunteers, and they have no mercy, and really they hold volunteers to this extreme level, and I'm going, they're not even getting paid. Be thankful they're willing to serve without getting paid and without any glory. This is insane, the amount of time people want you to spend. And so I was on this executive team, and I heard things that were going on and decisions being made and knew what was going on in the background. And then you had a few people who were not elevated to the top, and they got jealous and offended, and they went and spread lies, and people on social media believed them. And I was like, it's not true. That didn't happen. That's not said. And so because I said, no, that's not true. No, that's not what happened, I was called establishment. Well, I'm not going to lie for anybody. I don't care who you are, if you like it or not. If I know it's not the truth, I'm going to say it's not the truth. And so I dealt with a lot of that stuff, and I'm just very loyal. And when we're friends and I know that you're a good person and people are twisting things, I'm going to defend you. And so I made some people angry because I defended the chairman of the Republican Party, but he's been really good to me and my family. He's been really good for Georgia. He made sure that President Trump got elected and they didn't hijack the whole thing. So I can't be upset with him. I mean, we don't agree on every single little thing, but we agree on most things. And he does love Jesus, and he has a beautiful wife, and people just want to attack. He doesn't get paid. He's an attorney. He could make a whole lot more money doing other things than representing the Republican Party.
Yeah. Well, so, with talking about this and talking about, like, say you get into Congress, a lot of conservatives are calling for term limits. Even Democrats are calling for this. And, I just wanted to get your take on that. And some of that is tied to, the lobbying influence, right? We send these people to Washington, we pay them 100, what is it? What's their salary? Like 190 something now. But, and then they come out like half a billionaires, right? So like, and they spend like 50, 60 or whatever, like 50 years in whatever in government and stuff like that. And that's really not what it's meant to be. And they lose sight of everything their constituents want from them. They lose sight of, like, they just they're working for themselves at that point, trying to get rich, trying to enrich their family. And so, that's really frustrating for a lot of us to see. And it's really hard to remove them once they get to that level, because they have a lot of money. They have a lot of backers. They have lobbyists that are going to definitely fill their campaign funds. And so, give us your take on that.
I'm glad you said all that. That's what I was going to comment about. I was going to say, we can say people, I would say term limits. And I would have pushback and people said, no, that's government control. We get to choose. The voters get to choose. I'm like, but do you get to choose? Because when you look at it in research based in history and historical data, it shows that if you're an incumbent, you win. It's very hard to unseat an incumbent. It's done. People do it, but it's very difficult. And why? You just said why. Because of the money and because of the power and the influence. I mean, I'm running against a guy who his daddy's a former congressman and he's raised $850,000 and not from the first district. His daddy's a lobbyist for foreign nations in DC, and he just brought that money in 20 days. I mean, I have raised like, I don't know, around $50,000. And so, when you're looking at that kind of money that's just being poured in somewhere, who do you think you're going to be beholden to? I have way more donors. My donor numbers are higher. Do you know why? People give me $5, $20, $25, $100. I get donations from all over the country from small donors. And you know who I'm beholden to? The people. It makes a difference. But that is why it's hard to unseat someone. We definitely have to have term limits if we're going to keep the same political climate. Now, if they want to limit a campaign to $100,000, that's all you can raise, that's all you can spend. We ain't got to have term limits. We can do it. But if we're going to have this unlimited amount of money that you can pour into races, we have to have term limits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy, 50 years in government. Like, it was never meant to be that way. You serve the people or whatever, and then you go back to, whatever it is you did or whatever. Like, it was never
especially normal people, right? Normal, yeah. I'm a public school educator, a public school educator that goes and serves, or a welder, or somebody that has a small business, or a doctor, or somebody who, is a stay-at-home mom, whatever. We're supposed to be normal people going and representing and putting ideas together and then coming home. It wasn't meant to be a career.
Yeah. And then, tell us about that too, being a wife, a mother, working full time. Like, tell us how you're balancing that, because it's a lot. Your schedule is crazy. So, like, are you sleeping right now?
Well, I'm kind of tired today because we've had the first week of school, but I work at the Board of Education and I love it. And I get to fight for abused kids. I have a wonderful job. I've been doing it this is my 23rd year. My husband teaches high school art, and we're both public school educators, just a middle-class family. We have 3 kids, 20, 17, and 8. Our 8-year-old is very active in ball. So we do a lot of travel ball on the weekends. My daughter's a cheerleader, so we're at football games on Friday night. But, we all do it as a family. We go together. We have friends all over the state. When I was running for governor, now I'm running for Congress. It's only 15 counties. So last night I drove to Camden County, which was an hour and 45 minutes. And I did a meeting and came home, and I got off work at 4, did that, and was home by 8:30. So it's doable. I don't do it every single night during the week, but I do it a couple nights and we make it work. My son had ball practice. My husband went with him. My dad went with me, and we make it work, and working really hard. I'm going to continue to work really hard. Somebody told me last night, they said, nobody's going to outwork you. And I'm like, nope. They won't outwork me, because I have to reach the people. I have to get to everybody. But we're meeting wonderful people. We were laying in bed last night. My husband said, we've met some really awesome people. And I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. We've met some of the best people in the country right here campaigning. And so there's no price tag on that. I wouldn't take anything for it. It's an investment in people's lives. They're investing in us. We're investing in them. And I will be so humbled and honored if I get to go and serve the people of this district.
Yeah, I was really impressed when I met your husband. He's a really nice guy. So that's got to be a huge help to have somebody like that on your team. So good on you for landing him, and good on him for landing you, for sure. So, say you get elected, you win, and what are some of the short and long-term goals that you have for Congress?
Oh gosh, I have so many goals. I'm going to go in and, hopefully meet with the president and push through what he wants pushed through. I'm going to build a relationship. I'm really good with relationships. And so I want to get in there and, go upstream. Right. So pull things in, but go with the current and, push back when I need to, but really get in there and be able to work with Republicans and get it done, and be able to, say, hey, do this, do that. And when they start making backroom deals and they start doing this thing, hold their feet to the fire. The most of them say they're Christians. Well, we're going to act like Christians. And when I get there, I'm going to hold them accountable, and I hope they hold me accountable. And we actually get some things done for the people and not for lobbyists. And so I think that's why God has me going. He wants me to take authority. He wants me to go and be somebody somebody that has morals and standards and kind of holds everybody's feet to the fire. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to be in leadership. I'm going to push for, prison reform, mental health, getting, addicts and mental health people who are sick with mental illness off the streets, out of jails. It's very expensive for us to house them in our jails. I'm hearing this from all the sheriffs. I know my brother's an addict and he's in jail right now. He called me a while ago. He got out of prison and he's already been arrested for a DUI. It's a constant cycle because he is an addiction problem. And so we have to rehabilitate people. We don't have the facilities. And I don't want to see state-run hospitals. I want to see capitalism at work and grants and things that we put money here and not in other countries for them to fight wars, but to put the money here in America for us to rehabilitate our people and get the homeless off the street and take care of our veterans and just make sure that we're taking care of our people and equipping them to get jobs. And they were on their medication. Research shows when the mentally ill are on their medication, they're able to work and provide for themselves. And so we have to do better with that. I want to see nuclear energy increase. In my hometown, we have the nuclear power plant. We've had it my whole life. My parents both retired from there. Actually, all three of them. My stepdad too. And so I've grown up with nuclear. It works. It's clean. It works. I want to see another reactor put there. There's so many things that I have experienced in being from the first district that I want to go and do. The ports, we have the two of the biggest ports in the country are right here in the first district in Brunswick and Savannah. I want to protect them, make sure that we are doing, operating them at full capacity and what can help with the economy there, and then protect our farmers, and not only our farmers, but our fishermen. We have our fishermen, really, they get neglected. They get, really, I don't want to use the word screwed. That's an ugly word, but they get screwed out of money and shrimping and fishing from other countries that import things in. And we think about the farmers and they get subsidies and they kind of get help in ways that fishermen don't. And so I want us to look at the whole landscape of Georgia and especially the first district and what we can do to help.
Yeah, awesome. And you touched a little bit on, law enforcement. And so the murder of Laken Riley is something that hit home for a lot of us because we live, you and I both live in Georgia, but B, I have college, both my sons go to college. And so it was really like, I just can't even watch a video of her without tearing up because I'm thinking about my kids. They're the same age, they're going to college here in Georgia too. And so, talk about, the state is in terms of deportation, how we can help with that. Talk about the national issue in terms of deportation and what we can do better in order to fix this problem. Because really, it was exacerbated, by the Biden administration, just opening. They literally welded the border open and said, "Oh, it's about the wildlife or whatever. Get out of here." It was, they just flooded the country, and so now we have to deal with this problem, and it's really tough. And we're seeing, the recruiting efforts with ICE and stuff like that. They just open it wide open. They're recruiting hard. I saw Christy Nome, she sent out a recruiting link for ICE and stuff like that, and it's really tough work. I know that as an Army veteran, physically restraining somebody is not easy work. And if you do this every day, you're going to get bruises, you're going to be sore, this is really tough work. And I appreciate these patriots going out there every day and doing this. And, it's just, I can't thank them enough for the things that they're doing. It's really, they don't get enough credit for, and it wasn't their problem, they didn't create this problem, but now we got to fix it, and that's reality. And it's up here in Georgia. We're not a border state, but here it is. We're dealing with it here in Georgia. Every state in the union is dealing with this. And so talk to us about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Everything you said was dead on the money. I mean, what happened with Laken was horrible, and it could have been anybody. I had, my friends' children up there. My son wasn't up there then; it was last year, but girls going and jogging around and could have been raped and brutally murdered. It's because of sanctuary cities. It's because people, I have a big heart and we're going to protect and we're going to do this. I was sitting here when you were talking, thinking about my 8-year-old who loves to fish. and he was outside and he caught a fish, and he's never done this before, but he couldn't get the hook out of the fish's mouth. It was a big catfish in our pond. And he couldn't get the hook out, and he ran inside and he was crying like, "Mama, come here." Well, I ain't touching this fish. I do not do fishing. Okay. So I had to put these gloves on trying to get this hook out of this fish, and the fish is breathing and he's dying because he's not in the water. And he was heavy. I couldn't pick him up to put him in a bucket. So I was dipping water and pouring it over the fish. And I had my son go inside and get my husband to come out and unhook this fish, because my son was having a panic. Like, "Mama, I don't want the fish to die." Even though we catch fish and clean them and eat them, it seemed inhumane to him because he didn't have a bucket of water for him to be killed the right way. I don't know if that makes sense, but I was just getting this image when you were talking. I think it's similar. We think, illegals are human beings. We don't want them to be treated unfairly. We don't want them, even though they came in illegally, even though they're criminals. I get it. And that's why the sanctuary city, they thought, oh, well, we'll give them, a reprieve or whatever. No. This person had multiple crimes. He had been protected, catch and release, all the things. And then he killed an innocent girl who could have been my daughter, who could have been my sister, could have been your daughter. And we can't bring her back. That's it. Right. That's why we have laws in our country for law and order. And so we can have a big heart and we could want, not want somebody to die and not want things to happen. But at the same time, we have to have boundaries. That's why we have a border. And that's why we have to say no. And so I'm hearing, people say, well, families have been here for a really long time. And okay, well, then why haven't they got their papers? Why haven't they applied? Why did they take all their money and send it back to their country where they're from? They're not paying taxes here. That was a choice. And so my dad always says, you get the behavior you tolerate. And so we cannot tolerate criminals in our country and crimes. So if you come over here illegally and you're here, I'm telling you right now, you better take your money, you better skip and scrape, and you better invest in getting your papers. Because if you don't, you're going to be kicked out of this country. If it's important for you to live here, if it's important for you to be here, make it a priority. It's important for me to make my house payment. And so if I don't get to go out to eat, or I don't get to do something that I want to do for fun, I don't get to do that. So you don't get to ship money back to your country where you came from. You have to invest in your time here if you want to stay here. And I'm not being mean. It's the truth. And so we've got to have law and order. And if you've done crimes here, I don't only want you sitting back. I want to deal with you here and not just put you in jail. Okay. I'm for capital punishment. And so if you murder someone here and you're illegal, I have no empathy. I have no nothing. And so probably a good thing I'm not a judge, because zero tolerance. If they had killed my daughter, that's exactly how I would feel. And so I put myself in the shoes of the family who lost their daughter for nonsense. And not only did they lose her, she was her last moments on earth was being attacked, brutally attacked. It's got to stop. And so I'm so thankful for Tom Holman. He's my friend. I've met Tom a couple times. He's wonderful. And I'm so thankful for what he's doing. But you're right. It's a very dangerous job. They need to be paid well. They made a mess. The Biden administration and before made a mess in this country with the border. Obama did too. And so and President Trump tried to clean it up. They undid everything and more when they got into the seats fraudulently. And so we have to clean up a mess. And a lot of times when we clean up messes, it gets messier. And I feel like that's where we are. They're risking their lives. And we've had a rough week this week. We had Fort Stewart, a shooting there. We just had a shooting a while ago at Emory University in Georgia. There was 2 police officers shot on MARTA just a few before that. It's just been a rough week in Georgia, really, for violence. And I don't know why. It's almost like an unrest kind of thing going on with some people. I don't know why. So we need to pray, but we have to have law and order and have to hold people accountable.
Yeah, I agree. And the craziest part about that thing was that New York had kicked him out, and then Georgia just it doesn't even make sense. Red Georgia, with a Republican governor, just New York City kicked him out. Why would we be accepting him? I get that they're, ultra leftists or whatever. They would probably keep him up there if they could or whatever, just because their government is out of control, but our government should be in control. They should be able to take this guy and be like, okay, New York kicked him out of here. We should be sending him on his way. We should not be holding him here. They already said that he's doing crimes or whatever, and they can't keep him. Why would we be keeping him? It doesn't even make any sense. It's just absolutely completely unnecessary. Like it should not have happened. Completely preventable.
Kimi, will you want to say something?
I'm sorry. I was just going to switch to a different question, but I love to continue on this topic, guys, because I just every time I see something, Jay, Candice, it's happening in Georgia, and it's crazy. Like what happened? There was a school shooting today, correct, at a university.
Yeah.
What ended up happening with that? Like,
Well,
did they
before I came on here, I just saw that the shooter was dead, found dead. So I'm not sure if he or she killed themselves. I don't know. All I just saw was an article that said that they were dead. So I don't know what happened, but I know that an officer was shot and in critical condition from Emory University. So that happened it was tonight. It was later in the day.
Yeah, that's hard to see. And then the other, the shooting on Fort Stewart too, like the soldiers that were trying to stop him or whatever, and then they ended up getting injured. I didn't hear the full story. I'm not sure exactly what their condition is. I saw that they were transferred to level 1 trauma care, and that's the last I heard of it. But hopefully they're okay, and hopefully they are not hurt. So yeah, it's just really tough to see, especially for me, Army retiree. So when I see stuff like that, it's just like, it hurts, because those could have been my soldiers,
And that's in our district. It was hard because it's right here in our backyard.
Right. Yeah. So did you have another question, Kimmy?
I do. I know we were speaking of Tom Homan a few minutes ago. I mean, I just love the guy. He's a beast. He's the boss. I don't think we could have anybody better in that position, honestly. He's got a long road ahead of himself. And how do you feel he's doing so far? And what kind of changes do you think he could be making to make I don't know if I know they're doing the best that they can. Is there anything that you can think of that they could possibly be doing differently, or maybe, what's your opinion on that? I know it's impossible to get them all out. I thought, okay, we're going to take away all their benefits, right? We're going to take away their EBT cards. We're going to take away their, health care. That's the way I thought it worked when President Trump won. We just shut everything off, right? The money, the freeloading, all of that. But I guess that's not how it works. So
I think, Kimmy, that some of that has been happening. I really do. I've heard from families specifically that have said that some of that's been happening. Things have been cut off. And so I think more of that. Let's do more of that. Let's doge more of that and cut it off, and then take that money and give it to Tom and whatever he needs. I just think that we should reallocate whatever money he needs and give it to him, and let's get it done. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. We have to have the manpower to do it, but they've hired more ICE agents and we're increasing that. I saw that, in the last week or so, they increased it massively. Whatever he needs, do it, and let's get it done. And let's rip the Band-Aid off, and let's not just keep dragging it out. I think that Tom is doing a wonderful job. I don't know anybody who could do what he does. He understands the border. He knows it. That's his passion. I've talked to him one-on-one, and we met in Kentucky when I was running for governor, and he is so passionate about the border and just and our security, our national security. He is passionate about keeping this border secure. He's as passionate about that as I am about making sure that children are not sexually abused. And so I think that, when you find people that what their passion is and what they care about, and they can do a good job, let them do it. Give them what they need. Give them every resource that they need to do it. And he's a brilliant man, and he's an alpha, strong man. And so I'm so thankful President Trump tapped him to do that job.
Almost definitely. I definitely would not want to get into it with Tom Homan. That's for sure. He's a beast. I absolutely just love him. There was just one other quick question I have for you, Ken. When you are elected to Congress, because we will see you as our next congressman representing Georgia, you were amazing, genuinely, just you, and I can tell that just by this evening and the times that we've had you in spaces. What committees would you be interested in joining in Congress? Like, which ones are the most meaningful to you?
Well, I have them pulled up right here. So, of course, agriculture would be great. I mean, I have so many farmers in the 1st District, and they have so many needs and so many things that they care about. We had Hurricane Helene that hit our area really hard, and we didn't get relief for a really long time. We had pecan orchards that were totally destroyed. And even you think about the timber industry, my father-in-law alone lost like $100,000 in his trees, and that was minor compared to some people that lost millions of dollars, and there was no insurance money to cover the loss that they had. And so agriculture is huge. Georgia's number one business is agriculture. We feed the world, not just Georgia. And so it's important that we protect that. But there's a committee on education and workforce, and I've been doing education for 23 years. And so I know, education is supposed to be a state right. And so I want to see it decrease at the federal level, but we have certain money that goes to special needs students and students that are homeless and students that are low income students. And, you want to make sure that you do protect those students and they get what they need and they have the funding that they need to be educated and be able to thrive to the fullest potential that they have. And so I would be interested in that. And then, of course, energy and commerce. I talked about that earlier with the nuclear power plant, and I have a huge passion for making sure that we're energy efficient. Right now, people need things to be affordable. Affordability is the number one problem in America outside of our elections. Securing our elections. If we don't have secure elections, we can't win these seats and we can't hold control of our country and power. But outside of the elections is affordability. People can't buy houses. They can't buy a car. They can't afford insurance. If they do buy a car, they can't afford to get a new tire for a flat tire. They can't afford if their transmission messes up because they've got huge grocery bills. Going out to eat is astronomically expensive. Everything is so high right now. And, we see some of it coming down, gas prices have come down some, and we're seeing, but the interest rates are really high, and we're seeing a little decrease with the real estate market, which is a good thing. The house market's coming down a little bit, but we're seeing where people are really struggling. And so we need some affordability brought back at the table. So I think, energy and commerce would be a great one. And then Homeland Security, I'm really interested in that. And there was another one, Veterans Affairs. We have 700,000 veterans in Georgia, and the majority live in the 1st District. And so advocating for my veterans, I was endorsed by the Proud Boys. We wouldn't have America without our military and without our veterans. We would not be a free country. And so if I could serve there, I would love to. So wherever I'm tapped to go, I'll be ready.
And thank you so much for that, Kandiss. You're going to do amazing. So I don't know much about the Georgia election just because I live in California, unfortunately. California, I guess you call it. How many people are you running? How many conservatives or whatever you want to call them? Establishment.
So Buddy Carter holds the seat right now, and he's running for U.S. Senate. So we have the U.S. Senate seat that John Ossoff currently is in. And so it's an open seat, which is a good thing. And in my district, there's 15 counties. There's 2 over 80,000 counties, and then the other 13 are under 80,000. And so the 2 over 80,000 is Chatham, which is Savannah, and then it is Glenn County, which is Brunswick, Georgia, that also has St. Simons, Jekyll Islands. And those counties are over 80,000. And so there are 4 people that have announced in Chatham County. So they're going to split that vote a lot, and I'll get a lot of Chatham County vote as well. And so then we have the other 14 counties, and I've been really working hard in those other 14 to win them over, and Chatham too, and all of them. But basically, I'm the only one from rural Georgia. Everybody else is from Chatham. And so I have, there's like 2 main contenders. 2 people really haven't raised any money, and they don't have any name recognition. I have the most name recognition because I've ran multiple times, and I have a bigger social media following and all that by a lot. But I don't have this major amount of money. So the 2 people that I'm running against who have money, one is a county commissioner for 22 years, and he is self-funding up to $500,000. So he has only raised maybe 30,000 himself, but he's self-funding $500,000. And so he's been in for 22 years in Savannah in a blue county, who's gotten more and more blue. And so there's not really anything about him that can say, oh, wow, he's just a patriot. I want to vote for him. But I think he's a nice guy. He's just kind of a normal white middle, 65-year-old man that just thinks his next step would be to run for Congress. He's not really passionate about anything that I can tell. And then there's another guy, his name's Jim Kingston. He's the son of former Congressman Jack Kingston. Jim's 34 years old, never been married. He lives in Atlanta as an insurance salesman, but now he's moving back to Savannah so he can try to take over the seat his daddy once held. And so Jack left the Congress seat. He was in Congress for 20-something years because, they make a career out of it. And so he was there for a really long time, and then he ran for U.S. Senate, and he lost to David Perdue. That's when David Perdue won. And then he became a lobbyist in D.C., lobbying for foreign nations, making a whole lot of money. So he lives in D.C. He doesn't live in the district anymore. But so I don't know. We'll see, right? Well, they'll split that Chatham vote up, and I'll get some, and then I'm going to pull the rest of the district. And so there'll probably be a runoff. I would think there would be a runoff unless we just win it outright, which that would be great. We have to get 50 plus 1. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna work really hard. People in the primary voters vote every time, and they know, they research, and they figure out their candidate. And so it's easier, I feel like, to win them over because other voters go in and don't really know. They just vote R because they don't really know. But primary voters are more educated, and then they also get more passionate. And so typically my voter base is they're very passionate. And if we do go into a runoff, they're going to be the ones that show up.
Oh, that's amazing. It sounds like you have a wonderful shot, Kandiss. So excited for you. Truly.
I don't know, y'all. When I win, y'all are gonna have to pray hard. And when I say, "Hey, I need y'all to come to DC," y'all got to just drive to DC and help me because
Oh, of course.
it's gonna be a cesspool of snakes up there. I don't know, but
I know.
figure it out.
You will figure it out. It's crazy over there. All the stuff that, with Trump wanting to federalize it, and what I think is a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. Needs to be done. It's a freaking it's a cesspool over there, like you said. It's an absolute cesspool. So it definitely needs to be cleaned up. I don't know, Kelly, did you have any questions for Kandiss? I wasn't sure. Or back to you, Jay.
Sure. Oh, yeah, actually, you've been really vocal about spiritual battles and defending biblical values in politics. So, how do you see the role of faith in governance, and what steps would you take to protect religious freedoms while representing such a diverse district?
That's a great question. So I'm a scholar of the Constitution, and America was founded on biblical values. Our founding fathers came over here to flee the Catholic Church, controlling them and dictating to them. And so they wanted to be free to worship Jesus the way they wanted to. And common law, which is what our Constitution is founded on, comes from the Bible. And so people saying that it's separation of church and state, that's not what it meant. It meant that the church runs the state. The state does not get to dictate the church. It cannot say, okay, you have to do this. And the church cannot become the state. Like, it can't have a state church where everybody has to worship this way and it's only this one denomination. And so, people like to twist things to fit their own paradigm, but it's just not true. And so we have a moral foundation that we really have gotten away from when you look at transgenderism and you look at late term abortion, and you look at all the things that our country has been pushing on the left. When you look at those things, it's totally against biblical and moral values. And so that's why we're seeing the country fail and divided, and sin abounding in the family unit, the nuclear family crushed, and no daddies in the home, and children suicidal and cutting themselves and looking for witchcraft and other spiritual means, or atheistic in their thinking. It's because of the breakdown of the family. And so I will go there and ensure that we are morally sound foundationally on what the Constitution was created on, and that's common law. And that goes back to the border and the things we talked about earlier, and law and order, and protecting law enforcement and the military and honoring them and making sure that we're a nation of law and order. It all goes back to the Bible. And so I'm not going to push Jesus on anybody. I want people to, choose if they have him or they don't. That's their choice. But I am going to stand true to my own values, and I'm going to share him with them when I can, but I'm going to stay sound morally, because that's how our country was founded.
I like that. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
All right. Well, we got about 2,400 people in here watching right now. So we got a big crowd.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
you want to reset it, Kimmy? We have a lot of people in the comments that have shared the live for us, and I would just ask everybody to please, how do you do this, Jay? How do you how do you reset the space? Because this isn't a space.
It's the same as the space. Repost the live, quote post it. Get some more people in here. We got about 2,400 in here right now, so a lot of people
awesome.
watching it, and for good reason too. We got a good candidate in here, and we want to keep doing this, and we want to, the spaces and lives on X are the equalizer, right? They put people on the same level. They can hear from you directly. They can talk to you. They because they may not get a chance to see you, out in Georgia or whatever. You go to a lot of events and stuff like that, but you can't see everybody. And so this is a great way for people to see you. This is recorded. They'll be able to rewatch this and stuff and get to see you for who you are. And so I think that's really important. Insurrection Barbie is on our team too. She's not here right now, but one of the things that I saw in her was when they had the special election for the congressional seats in Florida, and she was one of the only people. Granted, there may have been other people talking about it, but she was one of the only major social media accounts trying to get them reelected and stuff. And that's just unacceptable to me. Like, I don't get why we wouldn't, like, we just won with President Trump. We just put in all this work. Trump Force 47 and all these different things that we did. We all made this happen, right? It was a team effort. It wasn't just President Trump. And so we made these things happen. And then, when we needed, something right after it or whatever, like, people just kind of like sat back or whatever. And that's frustrating to see. And so, we were talking with Barbie the other night, and we were like, I don't know how to quit. Like, I'm not just going to quit. Like, I'm not just going to throw up my hands. Like, we have to win in 2026. We have to, like, we cannot go through President Trump being on, impeachment trials for no reason. Like, we cannot do that. Like, we have to, like, keep building upon the successes that we have, because it's already hard enough. And so that's one of the reasons why we want to have candidates like you come in here, and so that we appreciate that greatly, and thank you for taking time out of your schedule to make that happen, because the voters want to hear from you. Honestly, they want to see who you are, and they want to hear from you.
Well, they froze for a second, but I don't know what you said at the end, but I was going to say, if we think about time and how fast it goes by, I mean, it's like a vapor, and he's already been in for 8 months. I mean, that's like 7 months, and we're in the 8th month. And so it's going to go by super fast. And if we don't, invest now in time and energy and, like, in money too. I mean, I'm talking about $26 a month to win in 2026. Whoever you're supporting, we spend more than that at the fast food restaurant. Whatever you can do, if it's $5, if it's $2, you invest. If you support 10 candidates, there's 10 candidates in this country that you support, and you give them $2 a month, that's $20, and that you supported them. Do it, because that is an investment. Kimmy may not get to come out and door knock for me, although she might drive over here, fly out here, but you can still give something, and like doing this space, and that's an investment. It's an investment in time of your platforms and what you do, an investment in candidates. And so I think it's wonderful that you're doing that, and other people can do that. It's not meant for everybody to run. Everybody, doesn't feel called to do it, and that's okay, but we can all get involved. But it is very important we don't lull back to sleep, because President Trump is, not going to be in forever. And we have to make sure that we have the elections secure by the time he leaves. They have to be secure and fair and legal. And let's know that whenever he walks out that door. And we also have to make sure that we have a full House and Senate that is the majority Republican, so that we can get things passed through. It's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the major frustrations that I see from a lot of, because I talk to a lot of conservatives here on X, I talk to them out in the world or whatever. And, one of the major frustrations is, Doge found all these places where they could make cuts, right? They found all this wasteful spending. They were, gender studies in Pakistan. literally just throwing our money into the furnace, like just absolutely the most frustrating thing in the world for an American taxpayer to see that we're paying for, you know, all these different things. And it's really just throwing the money away. It does absolutely nothing in these countries, and we see no benefit as Americans. And so it's so frustrating for me. But one of the things is, you know, is how do we begin to solve that? You in Congress, you know, I see like people like Thomas Massey and stuff, who's you know, he's fiscally conservative or whatever, but he will, you know, say, you know, this is what needs to be done, and then he walks away. Well, you have to build a team. You cannot just say this is what needs to be done, walk away and think it's going to happen. Dude, you got to build a team. Like you need, like if you want to make this stuff happen, and that's, you know, Elon was really frustrated, and rightfully so. You know, they put in a lot of work, and these Doge members, and, you know, they just fantastic human beings, you know, running this stuff down. They, you know, they were thrown together because, you know, they're brilliant, you know, IT professionals basically, and they're running all this stuff down, and they were easily finding this stuff because it was so blatant in a lot of cases. But, you know, the thing is like, now let's fix it. We see the problem. The Americans know the problem. How do we fix it? How does Congress begin to fix that? Because it doesn't seem like we're doing that. We increased the deficit, right? It went up. So, you know, what I understand Elon's frustration, and a lot of Americans understand his frustration too. You know, it's just we have to start, like, there has to be a coalition of conservatives, you know, beginning to fight that, because Democrats have no intention of doing that. They would add $5 trillion to the deficit. They don't care. They have no intent of reducing that. And so for us, you know, we need to see that from our candidates, how they intend to do that.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's why we have trillions of dollars in debt, because it's like monopoly money to them. It doesn't mean anything. And we have to get in there and cut. When you let's just look at Georgia, when they go into the Capitol. When I was running for governor, I said, why do we never like delete bills, like cut them? Like vote to like get rid of them. We just create more legislation every session. Well, that's more and more and more bureaucracy. Why are we doing that? Why aren't we going in and saying, okay, this is old, it's not relevant anymore, get rid of it. This is old, it's not relevant anymore, get rid of it. Why are we never cutting? To me, let's cut 5 and create one that's specific to one issue. The problem, and I know that President Trump was about that big, beautiful bill and he needed to get it passed, and I get it, but we need to stop with the big, beautiful bills. We need to get smaller bills. We need to vote on things that are very specific, because they hide all this pork and fat in these bills, and then it screws the American people. I'm using the word screw again. I'm sorry, that's not a good word, but it messes, it is wrong. What other word can I use? I'm tired, y'all. I've been working all week, but it's not right. It's wrong. And we're the ones that pay for it, the Americans and American taxpayer. And, you know, there's people who are not taxpayers that just live off the government, and they don't feel it, but we feel it, and it's not fair. And I'm tired of it. And I want to see, you know, very specific bills that are specific for what the public wants us to pass them, and quit having bills this big that are given the night before, and you have to go vote on it and you don't even know what's in it. That's not okay. That has to stop. But you're right, Jay. The only way to stop it and to get something passed is relationship. You can be a talking head, and you can get in there, and you can, you know, get on the media and be a media whore and just suck up the media attention and be divisive. Or you can get in there and you can build relationships, and you can go upstream with the current and pull things in that you need and build relationship and say, hey, you shouldn't do this. This is not moral. This is not good. This is not what the people want. But hey, this is, and let's compromise, and let's go here. And you can compromise on an issue without being immoral and without, you know, totally destroying something. But that's what we've seen happen, and they've done it for so long, and then that's the only way to operate. It's just to have these fat bills, and as Republican majorities throwing in a third of it for the Democrats. I don't care if every Democrat votes no on every single bill we pass. If we had the majority, why do we care?
Right. Yeah, you know, that was another thing too, is like, you know, with Mike Johnson, in a lot of cases, he would give up leverage, right? You should go in hard with a conservative a conservative budget, right? And why is Chuck Schumer pushing the budget? We held the House. Like, why is he doing that? That's the House's job, right? So the budget should have come from Mike Johnson. It should have been completely fiscally conservative. And then obviously you got to walk it back a little bit, negotiate a little bit in order to get it passed. But the thing is like, when we hold the House, it should have been the most conservative budget ever, right? It should have been like the most conservative budget we've seen in a long time. And, and so that's, frustrating too, to see that. And I don't know if he's overwhelmed.
It's a red flag if Chuck Schumer's at the table as a senator
right
in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, no, I was like that. He shouldn't even, get really a say, because we hold the House, we hold the Senate. We got the presidency. Like it should have been completely our budget. Like it should, like, I just don't get it. And, again, you're not going to get everything you want, right? You're going to have to negotiate some things. We're going to have to give some give and take. But the thing is you go in hard. Democrats will go in hard with the budget they want. They're going to go with this hugely bloated budget. They're going to, whatever. And like, it seems like we never negotiate with them. They just get what they want. We just walk away or whatever. And then that's the way it is. And it's just like here, conservative America, here in Georgia or whatever, we're just like, well, what did we just put you to, put you in office for? Because you're just not getting it done for us. So.
And it's like, oh, well, you voted. And they get mad at Thomas Massie and say, well, he's the only one and he just won't go along to get along. And most of the time I'm very proud of him because he stands up and he's the only one. Like, it's okay if you're the only one standing by yourself, if you're standing on principles and morals that your constituents tell you to. And that's what they're telling you to do, because you're supposed to be their public servant. That's how it's supposed to work. But he does, I think, where he misses the mark is building the relationship and being able to bring people over on his side and be able to, blend together. And these ideas that he has that are great, we got to figure out how to mesh that.
Right. Yeah. And, and Elon is obviously frustrated with that. Hopefully he comes back together with President Trump. But the thing is like he wants to promote fiscally conservative candidates. I don't think that hurts the Republican Party. Honestly, I don't think it hurts us at all. If we get some people that are more fiscally conservative in there that Elon, I don't think that really hurts us, so hopefully he does, promote some fiscally conservative candidates. Hopefully, we can get this debt and this deficit under control. And hopefully, that's, I know Kandiss Taylor will. So
I will. Well, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not going in, people go in with all this money. I mean, they go in, usually they're wealthy when they go in, but then they go in and they make themselves multimillionaires. I mean, if my husband invents something while I'm in there and we patent it and we make money, that's one thing, right? But you go in and you make all this trade deals and all this backroom money and taking money from lobbyists. I mean, I don't know how people sleep at night knowing they're beholden to these snakes instead of to their constituents. I don't understand it. And that's why I'm just going to pray for protection of bubble wrap around me when I walk in. That's all I know to do. And I think maybe I don't know if Kimmy was going to say something.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to need that, hon, because you were a true gem, and it seems like when people go to DC, they just, I don't know what happens to them, but it's like, oh my gosh. But you're a good family woman, and you have children, and from what Jay said, a very lovely husband, and that's amazing. I just love your America First values, and oh gosh, we're just praying for you. You got to get in. You have to. We need help. Like you were talking about earlier about Thomas Massie, like a lot of these people will just come out and say something like he does. But I do like him because he does stand up and he says how he feels, but then there's no solution. And that's what I found with a lot of people in this country. It's like, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, we need to do this, and this. Just, normal people living in America. But okay. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff we can do, we need to do. So what is the solution? You know what I mean? I mean, that's so important. It seems like there's like, I've actually talked to a couple people that have DM'd me lately in my on XDMs that have said, this one guy, he has a nasty attitude, and I was like really surprised. I was like, wow. He said, you know what? I think we should all just sit home and let him loose. I'm like, what? For the midterms. That, what kind of mentality is that? And that really,
No way.
and that's another thing I worry about with all the infighting that's going on everywhere. And I in my heart, it's like, you realize what you're doing to these midterms, right? By the infighting and the arguing. Where are the Epstein files? Let's just keep pounding on the Epstein files. I know that's important, but stop. You need to not be a FAGA, but a MAGA, right? The fake MAGA. And, come on, just knock it off. It's not helping us. The midterms really, really, really worry me a lot. I think a lot of people are going to sit home. I don't think they realize how important it is. I even said to this guy, I'm like, um, Trump will be impeached. He'll be in jail. Well, he's the president of the United States. Why doesn't he start acting like it? I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I don't
It's
know.
like they forget everything he's done for the past 7,
Exactly.
8 months.
Every day, look what he's doing. I mean, look how many, there's been 0 border crossings, right? They're making arrests every day on these sexual predators, plus the people that have, I love the alligator Alcatraz. Oh my gosh, and they're going to add a second one in Florida. I absolutely love that. It's what he's doing is working. I mean, I can't complain. I think he's doing a fantastic job. And I was reading something really interesting today. Was it Mike Davis, Jay? Mike Davis, he's our friend Mark Lucas's buddy. He was talking about Pam Bondi today. I know we all are very, very frustrated with her, but he did a really good tweet today and saying that he's known her for a long time. She actually is a lion. That's what he said. So I guess maybe she is starting to do things finally, gradually, and we're starting to see like the thing with Bill Barr today. That's crazy stuff. Bill Barr, never trusted the guy. At first, I thought, oh, he's perfect. He's going to be this pit bull coming in, as our DOJ. And I don't know if you all saw this today on Twitter, but James O'Keefe uncovered secret memos, secret texts, secret emails between he and
Annie.
Fannie, Badass Willis, or whatever her name is, Fannie Willis, to bring down Trump. I don't know if you've all read them. It's horrible, absolutely horrible.
From
And
Georgia.
Yes, exactly. Just tired
Yeah,
of
we still have those indictments and still have friends that were electors for President Trump in 2020 that ruined their lives. I mean, one of my friends, Kathy Latham, she had a stroke this past week and was having some health problems, and she was an elector. She was indicted and she was booked with President Trump, and all she did, I mean, she's a grandmother now, she's a retired teacher, and all she did was sign the slate because that's the only pathway to victory if Mike Pence had a spine and he had done what he was supposed to do, and no, push it back to the states and count the votes. If they had counted the ballots, we would have been missing so many ballots in Georgia. He lost by 11,000 votes easily. He would have won Georgia, no question asked, if they counted those ballots. But they didn't because Mike Pence folded, and other people folded that were up there as well. And so we know all that, and these people are still having legal fees. The Republican Party, we raised millions of dollars to be able to pay for their legal fees, and Fannie, is her fault. She was played, and she played right into it, and she's gonna be held accountable for it one way or another, either legally or with the Lord, but she'll be held accountable. But our chairman of the Republican Party, Josh McCoon, he's tried to get her taken off the case. He's been fighting with lawfare, and he's an attorney, and he doesn't get paid. And he's doing this constantly to push him back and forth. And that's why President Trump endorsed him and loves him. And so people that come after Josh McCoon, our chairman of our Republican Party in Georgia, I'm just like, are you kidding? Like, it's so much deeper than little personality disagreements. And we've got to get past that as Republicans. I'm not marrying people I don't like. I don't have to go to dinner with them, but we vote the same way, and we should quit trying to destroy each other. And you're right, Kimmy, if we don't stop it, people are not going to turn out in the midterms. They're sick of the infighting. They've had enough of it, and we've got to stop it. It's got to stop.
Exactly. I'm all about working hard for midterms. I think we'll start promoting candidates on a daily basis. Numerous candidates on X, all of our platforms. It scares me. It really scares me. Now, I don't know if people like, what do you think, Jay? You think people just don't take it as seriously as we do? Like, we have common sense, right? Like,
Well, I mean, a lot of people, with the electing President Trump and all the work that a lot of people, because you got to think, President Trump is an anomaly, right? He drew in independents, he drew in Elon Musk. We got Tulsi Gabbard on the team. We got RFK Jr. on the team. These are Democrats, right?
Rogan?
He's an anomaly. Like he brought in people, that wouldn't be possible with any other president, in my opinion. And so, a lot of people were like, well, we put in all this work or whatever, like we're good now, right? President Trump is going to solve everything. Well, President Trump cannot solve everything. He needs a team behind him. And then without President Trump, I don't think we would have won. Like we needed somebody like that in order to win. Kamala Harris got a lot of votes, and I don't care what you feel about her or whatever. Like she got a lot of votes, and Democrats showed up for her, and that's scary because
you talk about money. Look how much money she had.
Yeah, she's completely incompetent, and she had a lot of people show up for her. So that should scare you, because President Trump is a little bit different than a lot of other people, and so we may not get the same turnout, in these other elections, and we shouldn't expect the same turnout. And so, that's why people like me, you, Kimmy, All American Girl, Barbie, that's why we hold these spaces, because we got to keep pushing forward. Like we need to get some America First candidates, people that care about, solving problems, not that are just, worried about lining their own pockets. And we need to get some real people in there to help President Trump solve these problems, because he's not going to be able to do it on his own. We already see what an uphill battle it is. And so, he's got these judges that are under investigation now, like just crazy. Like it's wild how far things have gotten. And if we don't get it under control, we don't start solving these problems, we're going to be like the UK. We're gonna have real problems. Like we've already got problems, but we're gonna have some real problems if we don't start solving this. And so people got to buckle down and get back in the fight, because it's not over.
And people tend to sit home during the midterms. They just do. They don't think it's important. And people, for some reason, just think, I don't need to go and vote for the midterms. They on 100% do. But turnout is always really low, and that's really we cannot let that happen this time. It's literally do or die. It really is.
Yeah.
No, it really is. I mean, in Georgia, we have the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, attorney general, U.S. Senate, and then we have two red congressional districts, mine, and then one where Mike Collins is now running for U.S. Senate, that are vacant. And so if we lose Georgia, I mean, we're done. Like we have to have Georgia to win the presidency, and it'll be really bad. And so we have to show up. We don't have a choice. And really there's other states like this as well. It's not only Georgia. I just know that because I'm here, but there's other states that are facing the same thing. And this voter apathy has got to stop. We got to get passionate.
Right. Ohio's in that position too. Like I have Mike DeWine in Ohio, and he's a huge rhino. And look what's going on in Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati has turned, like, it's really sad too. I mean, so like Ohio's really got to turn it around too, because we've got some really Democrat cities that could turn this whole thing around. So like, I get it. We can't sit still. We've got to do this.
What do you think we do, American Girl? What do you recommend to motivate people?
We just have to keep pounding the pavement. We've got to I think we have to make phone calls. I know people don't like to do, like younger people don't like using the phone, but like, I think we have to have spaces. I think we have to keep doing these lives. I think we have to make phone calls. I think we just have to talk to people out in public. We just have to keep using our voices and just keep doing what we're doing. Like we just can't, we have to tell people that there is no choice. Like we have to do that. Like you have to vote. There is no choice. We can't lose this country.
We were even talking about, door knocking, sometimes
Yes.
you knock on the door though, and people have animals and they're barking and they don't really want to come to the door. They get kind of aggravated.
Right.
But you can't tape something to a mailbox because that's a federal offense. They were talking about printing sticky notes. Like printed sticky notes with like vote for these people, or like just a few issues on there, and putting a sticky note on the front door and leaving. So like you're door knocking, but you're not even knocking, you're just leaving it there. And when the people leave and come back, they're like, oh, somebody left me a note, and they read it. And that's a way you could like cover a whole neighborhood or cover a whole area with multiple people quickly if you're not actually knocking, but just leaving a sticky note. And I thought that was kind of a good idea.
Yeah,
That is
well,
a good idea. I like that.
yeah, early vote action. They do these nice little cards that make it easy, because the bottom line is most conservatives, like I said, they're involved with their lives. They're working. They got kids. They got sports. They got all these different things. You know, like me, I got 2 kids in college, right? I'm dealing with all these things. But if you make it easy for them, like early vote action has really got a good system where they make it easy for them. They tell you who you should vote for and why you should vote for them. And they're basically picking conservative candidates. They're talking about the issues that are on the ballot, and they're coming from a conservative perspective. But it makes it easy for the conservative voter. It takes the guesswork out of them. Here's the issue. Here's the person that you should be voting for, and here's why. And if we can do stuff like that nationwide, if we can do stuff like that in Georgia, I think it's a huge benefit, because I think most people want to do the right thing. Most people want to get, conservative candidates in there. Most people are on the team. They just, they don't understand the everything that's going on in politics, because like I said, they're involved in their life. And so that I saw that the other day. I sent it to my local GOP. I was like, man, this is brilliant. Like this takes the guesswork out. This is huge. Like GOPs across the nation should be taking note of that, because that's really smart. And like I said, most people will try and help us out if they can. And if they know what the issue is, they know who the good people are and they know who the bad people are, they're going to vote the right way. And they're on the same team. So we should really, learn from each other and do smart things like that to get voters out. That was huge. Kudos to Scott Presler. He's doing really good things for America. I appreciate him.
Yeah, and we have to share ideas. And it's hard because sometimes we're like, we don't want the Democrats to know what we're doing. You know what? I'm not worried about them. They can do whatever they want to. If they want to try to copy us, copy us. The devil copies everything God does. He's not an originator. He's not a creator. We have to know that our message resonates with normal people who are working hard, paying taxes, that probably won't show up to vote because they're busy. And so we have to reach those people, and we can't be worried about keeping everything a secret and being, strategy has to be a secret. I mean, there's time for that. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But turning out the vote, there's no time for that. We have to turn the vote out. We have to get people involved and engaged and get them plugged in now. We can't beat around the bush about it.
Right. Well, Kandiss, we've been going at this for over an hour and 10 minutes now. I want to make sure we're being respectful of your time tonight. You good, or should we wrap it up here soon?
I'm good. I mean, I'm good. I think Kimmy and American Girl haven't said a lot. I'd love to hear what they think should happen in Congress. As y'all were talking, you're asking me questions, but I was sitting here thinking, like, have you ever wanted to call your congressman and say, hey, this issue matters to me. Why don't you care about this? What would you call and say to them? What would you like for them to do? Because that's what will help me when I'm talking to people, when I'm running, is what do the people want to hear? And so if people will comment that, or if y'all have any answer to that question.
Oh gosh, there's so much here in California. We have Shifty Schiff representing California. I know, right? Alex Padilla, Tom McClintock. Yeah, we have some real winners. So Tom McClintock, I don't know if you know of him, but he's actually pretty favorable here in my district in California. I'm reading his voting record with the Democrats, and he does vote with Democrats sometimes, and I don't like that. I don't like that about him. I think he's phony. I think he's been there for too many years. I think he needs to go. I want term limits. That is so important. These people look at Pocahontas. She just fell down the other day next to a lady in a wheelchair. It's like, come on. I'm not saying that elderly people are, there's nothing wrong with them, obviously, but I just think we've got to have term limits. Term limits are so important. Voter integrity, voter ID, which we don't have in California right now. And it also is not required in Nevada, where I used to live. You don't have to show an ID. I asked, why aren't you asking me for an ID? I mean, they know me here in California at the registrar's office. I don't even have to show them my ID. But it's like in Nevada, when I lived there in 2020, when I voted for Trump, I said, aren't you going to ask me for my ID? I was like very leery. Of course, it was during COVID. We had to wait in the long lines, and 3 at a time were allowed in. And no, we don't need that. I said, what about the mail-in ballot that you sent me? What am I supposed to do with that? I have it here with me right now. He said, well, just go home and burn it. You didn't want it. It's like, really? And then when I voted on the Dominion machine, it said a receipt is printing to show who you voted for, because they actually had like a little printer next, like a receipt printer next to the computer, and nothing came out. So I called somebody over. I'm like, what's going on here? Why isn't a receipt? Oh, we don't do that here. It's like, okay, so I have no proof. And then when Donald Trump lost in 2020, I of course went and there's a place you can go and look to see your status, to make sure they even counted your vote. My vote was not even counted in 2020.
Because you
So,
didn't print it and then scan it in.
well, no, I know on in Nevada, you just went on a computer. You didn't print it and scan it. You just voted you actually just went in and voted on a
But y'all
computer.
didn't scan the receipts after it print. Like in Georgia, we vote,
No,
we touch screen, and then when they print a receipt, and then we scan the receipt in. So
no receipt. No
wow.
receipt. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, he said, well, just go home and burn it. I don't care what you do with your mail-in ballot. So anybody could have
You
used
can
that
vote
ballot.
again.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I should have for Trump. But they cheat massively in Nevada as well. We all know that, especially like Washoe County, Washoe County is Reno and Las Vegas. And we know those two areas, there's going to be a lot of cheating. But the most important thing to me is voter ID, voter integrity, same day voting.
Yeah.
Like Doug Billings, who's running for governor of Kansas.
I lived.
I love Doug Billings. He is demanding same day voting. Make it a holiday, a holiday for all, a governmental holiday or whatever you call it. So people don't, they can't complain about, oh, well, they still will. No, I have to go wait in line on the same day. Yeah, that's what we've always done before COVID, right? Before COVID, that's what we did. We went and voted in person, waited in line on the day of voting. So I think that's the most important thing to me is voter integrity, voter ID. Get rid of those darn machines. Something else that Doug Billings, I know he's going to be the best governor in the United States of America, running for Kansas governor. He also was talking about doing a Kansas City Doge. He says what was the amount? I can't remember. I think he said like 100 million in cuts that they could be making
Wow.
via Doge. Yeah, just in Kansas City alone. I mean, Missouri, Kansas. So I think those two things are just super important to me. The cutting of the waste and the voter integrity. We've got to get the voter integrity back in line, or I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated. That's why they don't go vote. Like Kelly had said, they don't care about the midterms anymore. So they just don't go vote. It's not going to matter anyway. They're going to cheat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I cannot stand that attitude. I don't like it. I'm one of those that will never, ever, ever give up, no matter what. And I will do my best to get our candidates elected. Unfortunately, California, we don't even really know who's running for governor yet. That's somebody that's a good quality governor, and who do you have running for governor in Georgia? Who is it?
So I was going to say our Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, he was endorsed by President Trump. He's running for governor, and he came up with Doge in Georgia, and he's been working on doing cuts, and they returned some money, which I wish they wouldn't even return it. I just want them to stop doing income tax, and they're trying to abolish income tax here. So hopefully that happens for Jay and I. We're hopeful that he's running, and then Chris Carr, who's our Attorney General, who's a joke. And I I'm not endorsing anyone, but Chris Carr called me an anti-Semite because the left-wing media twisted something, and he started calling me an anti-Semite and to the AJC, and he owes me a public apology. So you can tell I'm not a big fan.
Kelly, did you have anything?
Sorry,
right,
my
well-
mic wouldn't unmute.
Yep, no worries.
Sorry. No, I'm excited because we've got Vivek running for governor in Ohio. So I'm really hopeful that comes to fruition. And I know in Cincinnati, JD Vance's brother is running for mayor. So
I didn't know
I'm
that.
excited. I really hope that Ohio comes through. So, and I know we've had issues with voting. 2020, we actually they didn't want us voting, and our vote didn't count. It still said pending in 2022. So our votes didn't even count. So I'm all for voting same day, having the day off. It just election integrity is so vital and so important. So
Kelly, what changed from 2020 to 2022 to 2024, like as far as your progression with election integrity, and like what laws changed? I know Ohio was working on things, and I worked with some people there for a little while, but I don't know exactly what changed there at the end.
in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
not much, to be honest with you, other than, I mean, the only thing they do check IDs. So that is good. I know they check signatures too, because my husband, they gave him a hard time about his signature. But the only thing that the mail-ins, I don't think they get counted. They said is pending. So that's questionable. And I don't know, it's a little bit like if you're a Republican, they don't like Republicans in the state of Ohio. Even though it's a red state,
Mm-hmm.
the people that work the elections definitely aren't, and they let you know it. So that's a problem.
Did you go to the RNC convention?
I did not get to go. I wanted to go. I tried to
Okay,
get
so
tickets.
I was there, and let me tell you something. Ohio was the most energy in the room, and I guess because JD,
Yes.
I don't know, but it was crazy. Like every time Ohio was mentioned or JD was mentioned, they just you could feel the Holy Spirit, and
Yes.
feel this electrifying energy in that room when Ohio they were unified and like saying their song and different things. Anyway, they were awesome.
Yeah, we love JD here. We really do.
Yeah.
And we
Well, I just wanted to point out too, we got 3,200 people listening, just so you know, ma'am. So,
Wow.
Aw.
Thank
You know,
y'all.
But-
If they donate right now $10, then we would raise $30,000, right? Just like that.
Exactly. So I guess we need to have you, if everybody could please follow Kandiss if you're on X, TikTok, StreamYard, wherever you're at. I'm not sure how all this works, Jay, the StreamYard app. You can follow people. I don't know how it works, but
Hey, I
please.
do have a TikTok now with like 80 followers. I had 5,000 followers on TikTok before, and I deleted TikTok. And so I started another TikTok. So I do have a
I'll
TikTok.
make sure I follow you. We're all on TikTok, so we'll make sure we
Isn't
follow
that
you.
funny?
Most definitely. But I'm trying to remember. So before COVID, we had same day voting, correct? It was one day, no mail in, all of that, correct?
No,
Well,
they still had at least here in Georgia, they still had early voting. So here, let me talk
It
about this.
wasn't a month. It's become a month now. It used to be
Right.
like maybe 2 weeks, Jay, and now it's like a month.
Yeah, and they're I'm okay with a little bit of early voting because some people work really hard and it's really tough. I get that. And the main complaint that I heard from people, because I was a poll worker here in Georgia for the last election, and so one of the main complaints that people had was, we make them check their ballot, right? So they print out their ballot and they make sure they voted for the right people or whatever, because they can correct it. You can still correct it at this point. When you feed it into the machine, you have no idea how that was tallied. and they don't get a receipt. They don't get to see it on the screen. They get absolutely nothing. So you just have to trust that this thing counted your vote right, and there's no positive handover. And so if Georgia could solve that, if they could give them a receipt, if you could check it somewhere, if it could show it on the screen, even who you voted for, people would, have a lot more confidence in that system. I'm all for the paper ballots myself. If we do the paper ballot, I would be a lot more comfortable with that system, but not to say that it's failing. I don't think it's completely a failed system. I think it could work, but there is no positive handover. If people could see, hey, I voted for President Trump or whatever, I could look at it, I can check it online. If they had some kind of positive receipt of that, I think it would be a lot more, it would take away some of that distrust in the system, because I'm not saying you have to completely take technology out of it. I don't think that they will, but if we could do some kind of positive handover like that, now again, I'm for the paper ballots, same day voting, paper ballots. We should do that. But if they don't do that, give some sort of trust in the system. Let them see that their vote was counted the way that they voted for, because they deserve that. Honestly, they do. And their excuse was, well, people could hack the system and then they could see it or whatever. Well, people could hack the system anyways, right? These votes are getting tallied somewhere, right? They can hack the system. So why can't they see who they voted for? I think that's a BS excuse. Like, they should be able to see. There should be some trust in the system. A lot of people would have a lot more faith in it if they see that their vote was counted for the people that they voted for. And I don't get why they can't do that, because I think other states do it. I think Indiana gives them a receipt that shows who they voted for. And so why doesn't Georgia do that? I don't know. I think we could.
Georgia's not even compliant with the law. So we're supposed to be able to see voter intent. So you would see voter intent if you were bubbling, and then you would adjudicate the ballot, say that bubble's not quite right, and you have a Democrat, Republican, Independent, and they say, okay, the bubble really was for the Democrat. You can tell it's more on that bubble. But there's none of that. We touch screen. And so we're using a system that was created for handicap, special needs voters that had vision problems or adaptability problems, where they had to touch screen the vote. They couldn't bubble. And so they've made that system that was created to meet a special needed area for everybody, which is completely crazy to me. So we go in and we touch screen a vote, and then we print it. Well, when it prints, we can see the names on there who we voted for, but there's a QR code, and we can't read QR code. And the vote is actually in that QR code, which they're doing away with it, but not for 2026. It's going to be done away with after 2026 in Georgia. But the QR code, the issue that we have, and my husband ran for probate judge, and we filed litigation, and we're still involved in that litigation. But one thing that we found during all the open records requests was that say, for example, A equals A and B equals B, meaning this candidate equals this line on the ballot. This candidate equals this line. Well, all they have to do is go in and say, okay, let's tally the votes early. Let's turn a key. Let's print the ballots early, which shows on the open records request. They print them early. They see who's ahead. Oh, this candidate's ahead by 70% in early voting. Let's just swap and make A equal B and B equal A. And then this other candidate we really want to win, they'll win. There would be no way to determine that unless you go back and hand count what's written on the ballot, because the ballot QR code is what's going to read in that system. You see what I'm saying? So there's no adjudication of the ballots. There's no reconciliation of the ballots. So we don't ever get to reconciliate. They print it from the scanner, the numbers, and then that's what goes into the Secretary of State. That stands. The actual paper ballot receipt that's printed never gets tabulated. And that's the problem. So I'm not opposed either. I'm like you, Jay. I'm not opposed to the technology. I'm fine with us hand marking and scanning them in to a scanner and getting a count. But I want a hand count behind that to verify and reconcile those ballots. That's basic accounting. And then the people have faith, because you've got people in the community who are poll watchers, poll workers, they're there, they're counting these ballots, you're watching it, you're seeing that it matches what came out of that machine. And so I agree. I wish we could go online and see here's who you voted for. But if we don't get that much because we have secret ballots, at least let us reconcile the ballots. But they don't want us to because then they can't hide the voting.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the main things that I saw from people. In one of their main complaints was they just, there's no positive handover. They just feed it in a machine and send them on their way. And they don't like that. And I understand why they don't like it, because I don't like it either. I want some kind of positive handover. I want to see what I voted for. I want to see that it was counted right. So we owe them that. I think in a lot of ways, like that's, you know, as a poll worker, you work for the public, you know, then so we should have some kind of positive handover. And so that's, hopefully we can get that fixed here in Georgia, in red Georgia. Even
if you were there and you said, you know what, at this precinct, let's count this and make sure, let's just choose the governor race and let's count that. Or in 2026, let's choose our congressional race and let's count by hand. Oh no, we can't do that. When you really can, and the law allows for it. But I promise you that they would tell you that you couldn't do it. It's crazy. Right. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And you know, like, you know, I'm a veteran. I served in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, if they can count the ballots over there, millions of ballots, right? They can count them over there, and we can definitely count them in the most technologically advanced country in the world. There, we can find a way. We can put enough people in there to count the freaking ballots, and there's really no good excuse why we can't do it. I just don't buy it.
So do you think we'll ever have online voting in our lifetime?
I hope not.
No, I just wonder, with the way we do everything else online, I just wonder if that's ever going to be a possibility.
They
just
want
curious.
to. Right? I was watching a video today of somebody scanning their hand like in a health food and like had their bank account in their hand. I thought, okay, it's just a mark of the beast. Like, what are we doing? But they were scanning their hand, and I thought, well, I guess they could scan their hand to vote too. You know, I guess they want to come into a touchless society where everything's technology driven, and they would like to do that. But I think, you know, at some point, our Constitution is written on paper, and we protect it with these guns and this whole system in D.C. to protect these founding documents. So obviously, we value paper. I just don't understand why we would not take the highest right of our land and protect it, and us have accountability and reconciliation of ballots. It doesn't make any sense, except they want to cheat.
I agree.
Exactly. And I was just reading some comments from people that we have on our cast, our live cast right now. Patriot Nola says that voting should be the same in every state. And she is 100% right on that. Why is every state different? Why is California different? Nevada different? Georgia different? Ohio? Why is every state different? I mean,
it's in the Constitution.
What happened?
It's in the Constitution.
It's a state right. But if we demanded a certain standard for federal elections, which we could do from the federal level, if you demand a certain standard for federal elections, they're going to do it down ballot because they're not going to want to run different processes and procedures for an election. And so I think that's where we get them, is we say you have to have a photo ID. You have to have paper ballots that are hand marked, water marked, and they have to be hand counted at the precinct level, and you scan them through a machine and verify. Whatever they come up with, you do it at the federal elections have to be held this way. And then the state is going to know that they have to do every other race that way, because most of the time there's a federal election on the ballot, and they're not going to want to switch back and forth. It's too much chaos. And so that's how you do it. But Jay's right. It's a state right. That's why the states are all different.
Yeah, I mean, the other piece of that too is, you know, you have to be a citizen to vote, right? So how do you prove that you're
not in California though, right?
Yeah, how do you prove that you're a citizen? And through ID is the only way to do it, really.
Illegals. Yeah, how do you think thumbprinting would work? But that doesn't really, I mean, would they even like follow that?
I mean, literally in California, because it's illegal to check for ID, you could literally fly in from another country, go vote, and it would be illegal for them to check it. You could just give them some BS address or whatever, and they would just have to take it. Like that's insane. Like that's completely out of control. It's just not. It's really not even American. Like that can't. Like we have to get that under control. And hopefully President Trump, hopefully Congress can do something about that, because that is not the founder's intent. Like that's not even close to what should be happening. Illegal to ask for ID? What? Like you need an ID to open a bank account. You need an ID to, when you get pulled over at a stoplight, like how did you even get there? Like you needed an ID to get there. Like it's just
alcohol, right? You need an ID to buy alcohol. You
yeah,
need an ID to get into any concert. You need
everything.
an ID for everything. I mean,
To go to school.
check a book out at the library, you need an ID.
Right.
Well,
I mean, one of our biggest privileges that we have is voting, but you don't need an ID.
But when I go get my driver's license, I have to prove who I am 6 ways till Sunday.
I know,
So
right?
that's exactly like, but these people don't have to. That's what gets me. Like, especially to get that new national ID. I had to have so many, and especially a female had to prove so many different things, especially if you've been married or divorced. Like you had to have like all these different pieces of paper to prove. But then these people just go and get IDs like this. It boggles the mind. Like I
believe they're just handed the IDs when they come in, Kelly, at the border. I believe.
Oh my
I
gosh.
believe that's what's happening. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it's just crazy. Like, you think Newsom's ever gonna do anything about that? I pray to. I know he's not running again, and he should not run for president. My God, what a disaster! But I don't really know who's coming in to, somebody like that Stephen Hilton from Fox News. I don't know. I don't know if I really want him as our governor.
You know what's deceptive is California has a lot of patriots there, and
we do most definitely. I think California is red.
Yeah, I was seeing some stuff today. It was like in the airport or somewhere, but it was MAGA stuff everywhere. And I thought, I haven't been to California before, but I had friends that lived there and moved back, and all that. They said it doesn't feel blue; it feels red. People love President Trump. People are. And it was whenever fake presidency was going on before, and they said, they can't stand him. I mean, they don't like Gavin Newsom. I think they just lost control of their elections. And like Jay was saying, you're making it illegal to check ID. You've totally lost control. And so now there's no way to get it back through the election process, which is what's going to happen in this entire country if we don't secure these elections. And that's why it's the most important issue facing us.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, yeah. And Georgia's had real ID for, I don't know, like 13 years or something like that. Florida's had it for about the same amount of time. So really in Georgia and Florida, like there's no change. And a lot of the other states, we already had that. So
what we changed, Jay, was our absentee ballots. And so before 2020, they could not open absentee ballots until the day of the election. So we had some early voting going on, and then they had the day of the voting, and then after the voting ended at 7 p.m., they started opening absentee ballots, and they verified signatures and they scanned them in. Well, illegally, Brad Raffensperger did this illegally. It was felonies, and it was felonies in every single county, every single precinct. What he did was through the state election board, which he didn't have authority to do, our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, I'm sure y'all have heard of him. What he did, and now the statute of limitations has ran out, and so he's free and clear. And our Georgia legislators went back in 2022 and changed the law so it protected Brad. It's crazy what they did. Anyway, what he did was he said, y'all can open the absentees early because it's COVID time. He didn't have emergency powers. He did not have that right to do that constitutionally, but he did it. And he said, y'all can start scanning in the absentee ballots whenever you receive them. So if I'm a Democrat county and I am nefarious and I have no standards, and I'm opening a ballot that I like and it says Joe Biden on it, and nobody's watching me, and they're not going to reconcile these ballots later, I can just scan that ballot over and over and over again, the same ballot, or I can, find a ballot I like and scan it, whatever, because nobody's watching me, and I'm a Democrat and I have Democrat ballot, or maybe I'm a Republican and I'm wanting to do something crooked and I do the same thing. I'm just saying, opening those absentee ballots early and being able to scan them in and them just sitting there as a live ballot. I mean, when you vote on the machine, you scan it in. Nobody's seeing that. It locks and seals the results, the what's on the ballot in the card. You know what I'm saying? It's not looked at. That absentee ballot's right here. Here's my selections, and I'm scanning it in. It just was very, very different than what we'd ever done before, and there was a very different result than we know that really happened. And now they can legally do that. And that changed in 2020. And the reason why the legislators came up and changed it in 2022 was because Brad was guilty of a lot of felonies, a lot.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that under control before 2026. I know they've talked about, you know, pushing some measures or whatever. The Georgia GOP or whatever talked about getting that under control and getting some of that. At least they got the drop boxes moved inside, so they're monitored and stuff. That's a step in the right direction, but we still got a ways to go in terms of voter integrity in Georgia, especially. So, yeah. Well, ma'am, we've been in here an hour and 40 minutes. So, you know, we appreciate you coming out tonight.
Well, thank y'all for sacrificing your Friday night to be with me. And
we would be here
anyway.
anyway.
Ask for y'all to pray. Ask for y'all to donate $10, $26 to win in 26. Whatever. My donation link is at the top of my Twitter page or X page, whatever. I still call it Twitter. I hate X. I don't know why. I just can't get that. But anyway, it's at the top of my X page, pinned. Y'all can donate right there. But pray for me most of all, and for safety and for favor, and that we get one of us in every single seat.
Yeah, for sure. Like and subscribe to Kandiss. What's your website?
CandissTaylor.com. I'm Kandiss Taylor on all platforms except on TikTok. I'm Kandiss Taylor the number 4 Georgia GA. So Kandiss Taylor, the number 4 GA. But everywhere else, I'm Kandiss Taylor. Just my name.
Yeah, like, subscribe, donate, follow Kandiss. You know, really appreciate you coming out here. Like I said, X is the great equalizer. You know, we can put you in touch with the candidates. They can see your face. They can talk to you. They can hear your answers and stuff like that. It's really changed politics in a lot of ways, and so it's really a benefit of this platform, and you know, some of the other ones too. But I think mostly on X, you know, it's a huge benefit. So we just appreciate you coming out. We know you're a busy woman, spending your time with us, and you know, talking to your constituents, and you know, we think you're going to win. We really do. Like I think you're going to be a powerhouse in Congress, honestly, and you know, the rhinos and the liberals are going to fear you. And so I look forward to that, honestly. And I just appreciate you doing the things that you do, because it's not easy. This isn't you know, the easy life running for Congress and, you know, having a family and a husband and a job and all this different stuff. This is really tough. So I appreciate your service to Georgia and also to the country.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me. And hey, we'll probably make Right Wing Watch. I mean, I make that all the time. They take something goofy I say and they twist it. And so who knows, right? We might make that or some other crazy national media. Kandiss Taylor said something and it wasn't what I said, but they twist it. They love to do that.
Of course. Kandiss, can you please tell some of our viewers, I directed them, like Nola, I did send your website to her DMs on X, but if you could please just let people know what your website is again on here.
Yeah, it's Kandiss Taylor, KandissTaylor.com. So it's just my name, Kandiss Taylor.com. And then all my social media is Kandiss Taylor, just my name at Kandiss Taylor, except for TikTok. That's Kandiss Taylor, the number 4 GA, but everything else is Kandiss Taylor. And y'all go, follow me and connect and send me messages and tell me, hey, you should talk about this. You should do this. And if you get a creative idea for me for how to raise money or how to reach people, please let me know. Let Jay know. He's in my district too. And we're fighting to win the seat because we're tired of it being held by establishment hacks. We're sick of it.
Well, here's my idea how to get the voters out. This is something that I already drafted the bill. I already got it. It's already done.
All right.
I used AI and I drafted the bill.
All right.
Tax credit for voting. You do a $50 tax credit for every election that you voted, up to $100 a year. I'm telling you right now, you get a ton more voters. And in Georgia, that means a ton more conservative voters. And that's bipartisan. Democrats should be in favor for that too. But you do that tax credit, and I cannot take credit for that. That's my good friend, the Texas one. But we were up in Idaho, and they actually drafted that bill or whatever, and they're gonna try and get it passed up in Idaho. But the thing is I think it would be huge, and I think I sent it to Colton Moore. I never heard back from him, but I think that would be huge. You make a small tax credit or whatever, you'll get people turning out for it. I'm telling you right now. So if
It's
we
our
could
civic
get that,
duty.
what's that?
It's our civic duty. Everybody go vote.
Yeah, well, to give them a $50 tax credit, I'm telling you, you get a lot of people show up. I'm telling you, it'll get in Georgia. The more people turning out means more conservatives voting, in my opinion, because this is a conservative state. So, but
It definitely is.
go ahead. Yeah,
No, I was gonna say it definitely is. It's red. When I was running, I'd always say Georgia is red, blood red. We are red. We are Georgia Bulldog strong down here.
Yeah, for sure. So we just appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you so much, Kandiss. We would love to do this again with you. And if we want to bring in other people too to talk with you on the panel, we're willing to do that too. Huge live for us tonight. We got 3,650 people watching right now. So that's huge, and that's a testament to you and people want to hear from you, and we appreciate you coming out tonight.
Well, God bless everybody listening. And I want everybody to be prosperous and just go forward in your destiny with the Lord and the kingdom of God. And so thank y'all for having me. And I hope that y'all make a lot of money off this on y'all's platform.
We don't make nothing off this. This is free. This is a labor of love.
Listen, my ex, I went viral and I had all these attacks and I made $50. Like, have the money back and quit harassing me.
Yeah, no, we don't get nothing for this, but I do get the satisfaction that I'm helping my country and I'm helping Georgia out.
Well, we should get money from X because it's building their platform up. They should give you money for doing this.
Yeah, so
a quarter for every view.
But we're doing this. We just do this because we love our country. This is our main reason for doing X Spaces, and now we're starting to do lives, which I love this, Jay. It's been amazing, Kandiss. It's been amazing to meet you and talk with you again. Kelly, thank you so much for being here, and all of our listeners. Appreciate you greatly. So I think we're going to be back, right, Jay? Another time. I'm not sure when, but.
Yep. Well, I just want to say goodbye to Kandiss, and we can talk about, we got a couple other ones coming up. So thank you, ma'am, for coming tonight. I appreciate you. And
love you, Kandiss. Thank you so much.
I love y'all. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're a true gem.
All right. Appreciate you, Kandiss. Bye. So, so we got in the next week, we got Doug Billings and Ava Zolari for our next lives coming up. We got to hammer out the dates, but so we got some more candidates coming up here. So candidate for governor in Kansas, and then Ava Zolari is going for Dan Crenshaw's seat in Texas. So another congressional candidate.
That's perfect, Jay. I think we should probably talk about this offline, but something we need to definitely do a live about just focusing on the midterm, just pounding the midterms, pounding. I think that would be something that would be fun too. I really enjoyed this. I like this better actually than Spaces. I don't know why, but.
No, I do too.
Even though it's just my avatar, I still have really enjoyed this. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah, well, I thank you, ladies, for helping me out with this, and I appreciate you as always. And we'll just build off our success here, and we'll do and keep doing these things. And we keep doing successful lives. They're going to keep coming to us. So I appreciate y'all for doing this with me tonight.
Appreciate you as well. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys, and thank you to all of our listeners who joined us tonight and for sharing out the space. If you have a chance, you guys go back and look at all the comments. We have so many genuine patriots that were sharing out the live for us, that joined us for a little bit as long as they could. Patriot Nola has been here the entire time. She's such a jewel.
Yes. Appreciate you.
Yes, and make sure you have time to look at all the comments because there's been so many of our, our friends that have come on here and shown some love for our first live. So thank y'all.
Well, all right, ladies, we had a good night tonight, so I appreciate your help. We got 3,700 in here. Appreciate y'all coming out and watching. Thank you. Support Kandiss Taylor. Go to her page, like and subscribe to her. Donate if you're able to, and just appreciate you coming out tonight. So that's really it. Hope you all have a good night. Ladies, you guys good?
We're good. Thank you. Have a good
All
night.
right. I'm going to end it up. Appreciate y'all.
You too. Bye-bye. Good night.